hype level. If you're too hyped and you got to bring your hype down, what do you do?
Yeah, I think for me, it's slower movements, not getting too excited, not exerting my energy kind of thing. So
And what's your ultimate hype again?
a 6.
You're a 6.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's on the lower side. And sometimes guys feel they can read the play more. Is that why it's a little lower? You feel like you can read the play more?
Yeah, I feel like if I'm too high, then I'm really scrambly, so I like to play a little lower.
Got it. Okay, fantastic. Now, what's a time? Describe a situation when your hype might have been too low. It might have been a 3. And what did you do to bring it up?
Yeah, I think if it's like you said, like a 2 o'clock game or
Yep.
a 3 o'clock game, I think you can kind of get like it's not really normal or it's not like in your routine. So I think just like maybe jumping up and down on the ice or like breathing in and out super fast. I think that really helps.
Awesome. And what difference did that make for you? Like once you understood like what hype was and started to target playing at your ultimate hype, what happened to your performance when you did that?
Yeah, you become more consistent because you're kind of used to how you feel, and yeah, you just become more consistent.
Awesome. Love it. Okay, fantastic. So you might as well stay up here as we do this. Okay, I want everyone.
Yeah, no, there's a lot that goes into this one actually, which is funny.
Okay.
So as he comes in the zone, it's kind of a 4-on-2, 4-on-3 type play, right? Now, you can pretty much take him out of the play because he's not coming back, but I truthfully thought that this puck was going to him.
To the middle.
That's what made the play interesting. Now, so,
your depth, your positioning at this point is based on?
well, so it was kind of a broken play where we had just chipped it out and they
Right.
came right back. So
A lot of regroups in today's game.
so our D, look how far back our D started.
They're not gapped
so,
up.
So my first read was, okay, he's coming and shooting from just above the hash marks through the D.
Right.
So that's why I took a little bit of extra gap. In a perfect world, I'd probably be a little bit deeper here, give myself a better chance on this cross ice play.
Right.
But because I gapped out a little further because I anticipated
read, yeah.
he could shoot through there. Now, as our tracking back forward jumps to him, that opens up Rossi in the middle there. So my initial thought was this pass was to him.
And it could have been.
It totally could have been. So that's why I grab my edge and then I have to push again. So I actually do a bit of an out and then back diagonal to get back, and then it was just at that point like Kaprizov's firing it, and it was just a reactionary save from there.
Okay, so 2 parts to this. One, the fact you keep edges as opposed to sliding on the initial one gives
Correct.
you a chance to come back.
Yeah,
And
if I
2,
would
the
have
fact you
slid
lead
on the
with
first
eyes
pass.
allows you to react.
I mean, look at how close this puck was to that guy. So right now I'm set, and then I have to push it like set and then go again, and then just react.
Okay. But the fact you have that bit of rotation up top and that you're leading sort of top down with the head gives you an opportunity
Yeah, exactly.
to make that save.
So let's see. I mean, right here I'm still loading on that right skate as
Right.
he's hitting it. So then I get my push there, and probably like angle over depth there helps me. Like if I come too flat, I probably can't get all the way over. But like if you look where this puck goes, it was probably going to hit the middle bar.
Right.
So instead of trying to come this way, trying to go more back diagonal towards the post probably
It's a
helped
great
me
example of angle over depth.
out. Yeah. And I'm not like a dead set angle over depth guy.
Right. It's all
But
about the read.
there's certain times where that's one right there. It's like, hey, you're better off probably getting back to the middle of your net or trying to get your angle over, trying to get more depth,
Okay. Love it.
especially when he's hitting it right away.
Yeah.
Like if he would have caught that, then
Right.
I'd probably find the angle and then get a little bit of depth afterwards.
And as much as you saw Rossi as the middle net drive, I'm guessing by the time that hits the blue line, you know what hand everyone is. So you know he's a
Correct, yeah,
one
correct.
T option
Yep.
on that side.
to explain what an anchor is for you guys for confidence. So first of all, what we're going to do with you guys before Beck shows you is you got to think of a time in your life when you felt the absolute most confident, total most confident. I remember when I first did it, I thought back to 2 times that I focused on them when I created the anchor. And then you got to get a powerful move in a powerful way. We're going to do that. And then when you feel that you're at your peak for confidence, and not until then, when you're at your peak, then you fire off your anchor. And the reason for doing it is because when you need that feeling back, you do the same unique movement. It's got to be unique, and you will feel confident again by doing that unique movement. It's similar to, for the adults here, who's got the speeding ticket before? Put your hand up if you've got this speeding ticket before. Put your hand up. Okay. So the first time you got one, the police officer probably wasn't, that nice or whatever, and you didn't get the best feeling, and so maybe a month later, or 2 years later, or 5 years, or a week later, or whatever it is, it could be the next day, you're driving again, and cop is behind you, got the sirens on, got the lights going and stuff like that. You see in your rearview mirror, and guess what? You get that exact same feeling that you had the previous time. So what happens is that police officer drives by you and he's going after someone else, and you're like, why did that feeling come back? It was anger from before. Same thing with the song. Anyone here have a song that reminds them of a certain event or a person? Right, that's quite common. Rocky, there you go. Okay, so back. So when you do your physical movement, it's got to be unique. Go ahead. What's your anchor?
So I usually take a deep breath, and then I chin up, shoulders back, chest out, and then I hit the back of my stick against my elbow 3 to 5 times, usually 5 times.
Yeah.
I hit that like 3 or 4 times, and then I just skate around. But that's the movement there.
Powerful. I love it. Okay, great. Thanks, that's awesome. Dylan, can you show me what your anchor is?
Yeah. So to start off, I'll leave the top of my crease a couple times. You give it a stick flip like that, wipe it off, and then hit both posts, runs together, and then out to the play.
Love it. Okay, fantastic. I remember watching you play Hamilton against Stewie one game, and there was a point where you didn't come up with a save, and then you did that exact thing, and your body language was powerful. You stopped everything else all night. So powerful. Awesome. Thank you.
No worries.
Cody, can you show me what your anchor is?
So my anchor, this is actually something we spent quite a bit of time working on. I didn't get it right. We actually figured it out. I stand up tall. One thing we worked on was smiling. Pete can get into that, but I found that helped a lot. Get up, smile, breathe in the energy in the building, deep breath. I hit my chest protector. I'm ready to go.
Perfect. So the unique goal.
Yeah.
The unique. Yeah. Perfect. Okay. Awesome. Thanks, Cody. So that's why I got you to bring your glove and blocker and stick today, because you got to do it so it's in the game. I remember with Robbie Tallis and his anchor. This is way back when I was first did it. His anchor was he'd be in a stance, he'd go back like this. That was his anchor. So he'd only do it in times when he really did that confidence. Remember watching him on TSN? Boom, doing his anchor. Right? I think Jordy Watt, his was, I believe, he would go like this. He would have his glove and blocker on, and he would go, off. So he'd hit them together and he would go off. Right? So it's got to be, this can't be something that you're going to do all the time, because it's going to dilute your anchor. Okay? It's almost like tuning a piano. Even though we're doing it today, I want you guys to do this tomorrow and the next day for the next 7 days. Every day, spend 5 minutes reinforcing your anchor. Then you'll be able to, this time, you'll find during the season a time when you need that confidence. Boom, you'll bring it back just like that. Okay, so everyone,
I want you to think of, number one, what's a unique movement you can do, and you can duplicate, maybe it's something that Cody did, or something that Beck did, or something that Dylan did, or what Tallis did, or what Jordy Watt did, right? Feel free, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's got to be a unique movement. So I want you to do two things. One is think of a unique movement that you can do with your glove and blocker on, and then two, I want you to think of 1 or 2 times when you felt the absolute most confident. What were those times? Was it after making a huge glove save or a breakaway save, or after winning a certain game, or something someone said to you, or you got an award? What was it? And you felt the absolute. By the way, when I did this with Jordy Watt, this is an unbelievable story. I was doing anchoring session with Jordy Watt and Pete Wislock. Pete was playing for the Sur Eagles. They won the World Bank Cup that year. And we were doing it together. The anchoring session, they had to come up with times in life when they felt most confident. So Pete Wisloff is naming off, I got MVP in the Kiwi tournament, I won this award, I did this award, I did this award. Jordy Watt, he had to pull from playing road hockey. Right? So playing road hockey, whenever I did this or I did this, that's how we had to come up with times when he felt. We had no minor hockey references to pull from whatsoever. Okay. When you, yes.
Can it be outside of sport? Like,
Yes, it doesn't have to be hockey, it could be, well, one guy talked about his girlfriend. It could be about anything, yeah. It doesn't have to be specifically. A lot of times I find it is in sport, but it doesn't have to be, right? It doesn't just, this is that feeling we're going for. It could have been, you remember a time you listened to a song or watching a movie and you felt like unbelievable, right? So it could be something like that. Okay, who has a unique movement? Put your hand up if you come up with a unique movement. No? Okay, so you need some time. I'm going to give you guys 5 minutes, okay? We're going to break for 5 minutes. Come up with a unique movement and think of those 2 times. Write 2 times down, okay? And you've got to really focus on this right now to do it, okay? Because we're later in the day, so this really needs your energy, it really needs your attention. Come up with a unique movement and 2 things. And then we're going to do an anchoring session. We're going to condition this anchoring into you.
Hello, this is John Stevenson from Zone Performance Psychology, and today's topic is breath work. I'm going to take a little step back and just, when we talk about breath work, I find that a lot of goalies, particularly in these difficult times during the pandemic, if they can't be on the ice surface, what can they do to continue to work on their game during this downtime? And in fact, when hockey hopefully resumes shortly, we can come back even stronger. Well, one of the things that we can do, we've talked a lot about, you can go to your dryland training gym and you can do body weight workouts. You can do core, leg, upper body. If you are on the ice, you're working on your RVH or your shuffling or your head trajectory, technical things. But often when I speak with kids and I'll say, look, what are you doing on a daily basis? And I can't emphasize that word enough, daily basis, to work on your mental game. What are you doing in your mental gym? And I know for a lot of people, they've never heard of that term. And I don't put the mental part of the game, even though I'm a sports psychologist, I don't put the mental game any more important than the physical or the technical or the tactical. It's a balanced approach to our training. So the 3 pillars that I really work with when it comes to the mental part of the game is mindfulness, breath work, and mental rehearsal. Breath work, I'm sure a lot of people have heard a lot of different things in the last couple of years. I got introduced to it many, many years ago, about a decade ago, maybe even longer, with heart rate variability. And from a goalie's perspective, one of the things that I love about breath work, I call it hype number. So hype number is 0, you're asleep, and 10, you've had 900 Red Bull. And there's all sorts of different types of breath work around the world. Breath of fire, the Wim Hof, oxygen advantage, heart rate variability, box breathing. There's all these wonderful, phenomenal breath work techniques. But from a goalie's perspective, one of the things that I love about it is we can learn, different breath works can help us to get into our ideal performance state, which I call hype number. Some goalies need to be more pumped up. Some goalies need to be more calm, especially for their workouts or practices. So what I want to do is show people these are all sorts of different breath work that we can do throughout the day, before our practices, during our practices, after our practices, before, during, and after our games, that can help monitor our emotional state better. There's so many benefits to breath work, being able to get a better quality sleep, restorative sleep, getting better blood flow, better oxygen to the brain and to the muscles so that we can recover more quickly, being able to manage our emotions more effectively. For me, breath work is a key with regards to being able to focus. I use it in a lot of ways to our breath as an anchor. So there's so many health benefits, but there's so many performance benefits to breath work, breathing, and our physiology. How we, emotion is created by motion. How we're moving, how we're breathing can have a huge immediate impact on how we feel at any given moment. If we have a lot of carbon dioxide, if we're breathing shallow, if we're breathing rapidly, and again, that's one of the things that can have a huge, impact on our mental, our emotional, our ability to focus in the moment. So breath work, this is where we can take conscious control of how we can influence how we feel at any given time. So as I mentioned earlier, there's so many different types of breath work out there. But what I'd like to do is start off with what I call the 3 pillars of functional breathing. And the first pillar is what we call the biochemistry, getting the proper biochemistry within our physiology. And so one of the first things that we want to do, goalies, is when we do our breath work, all of our breathing should be in and out of our nose. When we're sleeping, when we're performing, when we're exercising, to the best of our ability. And I know myself right now, when I have to wear a mask, I have to really consciously remind myself to make sure to breathe in and out of my nose. We create a substance called nitric oxide when we breathe in and out of our nose. And this will really help us to get really good oxygenated blood to the brain and to the muscles. So first pillar, it's almost like as if imagining you're taping your mouth. And we want to make sure that we're just breathing lightly, slowly, calmly, so light and so smooth and so gentle that the fine hairs in our nose would be hardly moving at all. So I'm just going to show you, and I'm going to imagine my mouth is taped, and I'm just going to do it with my eyes closed just to see if I can get that, again, that feel. And when I talk about feeling the sensations of the breath, I'm not talking about thinking. I'm talking about the actual sensation. So really feeling that airflow coming in the nose and moving out of the nose. And so much that you could actually feel the coolness of the air coming in and feeling the warmth of the air going out. So I'm just going to take a minute and I'm just going to show you just light, smooth, gentle. Now, one of the other things that we can work on is we can place one hand on our chest and one hand on our tummy just above our belly button. And when we do this breathing, what we want to feel is when we breathe in, our tummy's going to just gently rise and our tummy's going to gently fall on the exhale. I'm just going to show you. Now, when I just did that exercise, obviously I have a gentleman helping me here today film it. Cody, could you hear my breath while I was doing that? No. So there's a misconception that to get a deep breath that we need to take this, and that's absolutely false. The faster and more exaggerated our breath, the less oxygen gets into our body. So when we do the first pillar, biochemistry, we want to make sure that the breath is light, it's smooth, it's gentle, it's quiet. That's the first pillar of proper breathing. Now, the second pillar of proper breathing is what we call biomechanical. And what we want to do to the best of our ability is minimize chest movement. We want to have some chest movement, and a lot of people have been taught that by pushing in and out your tummy that you're doing diaphragmatic breathing, and that's not necessarily the case. I've had the privilege of working with Patrick McEwen from the Oxygen Advantage, and over the last several months, one of the key things, and I'm going to demonstrate it, and what I would encourage all goalies to do, and I'm going to tell you one of the reasons why I love this, is you want to put your hands on your two lower ribs onto the side. And I'm just going to demonstrate what proper functional biomechanical breathing is. So when I breathe in, I'm going to breathe into my hands, feel that sensation, and I'm going to have that lateral expansion. And when I breathe out, I'm going to have the contraction. My hands are going to move in towards my ribs. So I'm just going to show you when I do this proper breathing. Again, I'm breathing in and out of my nose, softly, gently, smoothly, feeling the coolness of the air coming in, feeling the warmth going out, and then just this gentle lateral contraction and expansion of the two lower ribs. Now, as I'm doing that breath work, the first two pillars, biomechanical, biochemistry, I'm really slowing the air going in and out of my nose. Think of your breath like a wave in the ocean. So it comes in, there's a little pause, and on the exhale, there's another just gentle pause at the bottom of the exhale. And so as I'm doing that, I'm just feeling my breath slowing down more and more and more. Now, one of the reasons why I love putting my hands, and I really get goalies, I love to initially have them place their hands here. One, first of all, to make sure that they're breathing biomechanically. And I'd say, it sounds strange, but the vast majority of the goalies that I work with, when I first start working with them, they do tend to do upper breathing. They do it fast, they do it rapid. So we want to, when you do this slow, gentle, lateral breathing, you're going to start to have this sensation of what we call air hunger, that you want to take a deep breath. And that's actually a good thing, because what you're doing is you're teaching your body to be more resilient, more resilient, I like that word, to carbon dioxide. And we're going to learn how to get more oxygen into our system. So when we're doing this breath work, again, I initially start to do eyes closed because I can feel my breath, not think about my breath. You're going to hear a lot of people say, you should do breath counting. And I'm not a big fan of that, because that means we're still in our head. When I'm feeling the coolness of the air coming in and the warmth going out, and I'm feeling that lateral contraction and expansion, that grounds me in the moment. I learn how to just be in the moment. And generally speaking, when we do this type of breath work, our mind is going to wander. It might wander to a sound, it might wander to a thought about what I'm going to do later on today. It might wander to another sensation on the body. And when our mind wanders, which it will, we kindly, that's the key thing, we kindly and gently bring it back to where we most easily feel the breath in the body. And in that way, we learn how not to get caught up with our thoughts. And we also learn how to just be in the moment. So again, just a little quick little demo. And the great thing about the breath is you can do it anywhere, anytime, any place. So again, gentle in through the nose, out through the nose. Feel you're breathing into your hands and breathing, and the ribs are coming in. Now, a lot of my goalies will use this to help them to get a good, deep, restorative sleep. I've had a lot of my goalies come back and say, you know, John, when I've had to stop a penalty shot and I was feeling a little bit nervous and anxious, it was a great tool to help me just to get back into the moment and calm my central nervous system down. Now, the final pillar that we're going to talk about today is what we call cadence. And cadence, really simple, is the rhythm, the pace of our breath. And just as a general guideline, the faster we breathe, the more adrenaline, the more we get pumped up, the more we get activated. And when we slow our breathing, it has the opposite effect. It allows us to bring ourselves physically and emotionally down. And I think it's critical that, you know, in our program, in our breathwork program that we do through the goalie mental training program, I teach goalies all this different breath work. Now, cadence, I always usually start off with slow, and there's what we call resonant frequency. Resonant frequency is when you breathe in, your heart rate speeds up, and when you breathe out, your heart rate slows down. And when you get your breathing and your heart rate synced up, it's called respiratory sinus arrhythmia. You're literally learning how to balance the nervous system, and we're optimizing really good blood flow and heart rate variability. Now, generally speaking, when we have people breathing at around 6 breaths per minute, if you're 12 and older, if we have people breathing at 6 breaths per minute, it will literally put you into this balanced into the zone. When we get into the high levels, then we can get in our program, we can test your resonant frequency. Some people ideally are 4.5 breaths per minute. If you're taller, bigger, some people are 5.5 breaths per minute. And what we can do is find out what your ideal breathing rate is. And through practice, it eventually just becomes internalized. But generally speaking, if you breathe in for a count of 4, breathe out for a count of 6. Now, I just mentioned not counting, but eventually if we start off doing this, it'll just become second nature. So the key thing is with these 3 pillars, there's a tendency to rush too fast, to try to go from one pillar to the next pillar to the next pillar so quickly. Now, I've been practicing this for a long time, and my goalies, my elite goalies, you know, they practice each of those pillars. So again, I'm just going to go at my pace. It's more of a slower pace. And again, this is a skill. It takes practice. So again, I'm just going to show you. Now, my last article with In Goal Magazine, we showed you mindfulness. And we can do breath work mindfully. I think the key thing, the difference is with breath work, we're consciously manipulating the cadence rhythm. Now, one of the things, again, I like to do this when we initially start breath work and working with these 3 pillars, to do it eyes closed, because it allows us introspectively to really notice where we feel the breath in our body. Now, as we get better and better, yes, we want to simulate what we're going to do in a game. So now that's where we would move forward in the chair, and also working on head trajectory. Ideally, we would put the puck 3 feet in front of us. We get the proper head trajectory. And again, initially, we would put our hands on our ribs, and we would work on those 3 pillars. Now, we have audio tracks, guided audio tracks, where it sets the cadence, and all you have to do is listen to these audio tracks. But again, we eventually want to get it to the point where we don't want to be dependent on an app or a guided audio, because if we're out in the middle of Saskatchewan, we don't have access to internet, we want to be able to do it on our own prior to a game and during the game. So again, when I'm practicing this, initially putting the hands on the 2 lower ribs, okay, I'm good head trajectory, I'm on it, I'm tracking down onto the puck. And I want to emphasize again, feel the breath. Where do you notice those felt sensations? The coolness of the air coming in, the warmth, the feeling, those ribs expanding and contracting. Some days you're going to notice that maybe the air is moving in one nostril more than the other. And those are great, because now what you're doing is you can't, and as I mentioned before, you can't feel the breath in the past. You can't feel the breath in the future. The only time and place that you can feel the breath is in the present moment. And as the breath, learning how to play one shot, one play, one period, one game at a time. And this breath work, really working on these 3 pillars. Sometimes it might take a week just to get the first pillar, just really feeling the air moving in and out of our nose. Second week, then we start to, add, making sure that we're breathing in and out diaphragmatically. And this is going to make our core a lot stronger. As a goalie, that's a key thing. Functional breathing equals functional movement. And then eventually adding the cadence. But again, I would start, just feel the breath on your own pace. And then through our program at Zone Performance, we will start to teach you how to get that proper cadence so that you can use it before your game, during the game, and after the game. And you can check out our website, zoneperformance.ca, and feel free to call us, 780-803-5646, or go to our website, zoneperformance.ca. Our email is zoneperformance@shaw.ca.